A very happy 15-year anniversary to Lost Planet Extreme Condition. That's right, 15 years ago, in North America at least, this game was first released as a Xbox 360 console exclusive. I do think it was on PC though at the time, and it would eventually find its way onto PlayStation 3 as well. I had actually played this game back when it was somewhat relevant. You know, a few years after its release, I gave it a shot. And I remember not liking it at all. In fact, I quickly put it down and never touched it again. But when I was getting games for my collection, I decided to pick it up as it was highly recommended by a few people that I knew. So here I was trying this game for a second time, and I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised. I walked away enjoying this game a lot more than I thought I would. In fact, I enjoyed it so much that once I completed it, I went on eBay and actually ordered the sequel to this game. It made three in this series, so I'll have to play that eventually down the road sometime. But this was, the first release, really major release for Xbox in the year 2007. It came out in January in North America, I believe a month or two earlier in Japan, and it's published by Capcom, and I believe it's had some collaboration effort with the Unreal team from Epic. So, and that's one thing I just want to say up front is that the visual design of this game, first of all, when I was playing a lot of these games from like the launch year of these, 7th gen console titles, you start to see this sort of shift in visuals. And for me, Lost Planet, the most impressive thing I can say about this game is that it's very heavy on the post-processing effects. In fact, as you're watching this game has some of the best per object motion blur that I've seen in even games to this date. It's got a very cinematic, very sort of filmic look to it that I think aged very well due to the fact that, it really kind of relies on those post-processing effects. The smoke effects from explosions are just incredible. And it's all has this, really kind of just like this really full, like engulfing, sense of atmosphere with it. And this game mostly takes place in these sort of snowy regions. And so you have these sort of blizzards that, take place and they kind of limit your visibility and stuff. I was actually very surprised with the effects quality in this game. They did a very good job, I think, with the post-processing, and it really just helped the game age particularly well, even though the textures may not be the highest resolution and, so on and so forth there. So, as you can see from the gameplay, Lost Planet is a third-person action-adventure game that takes place on this icy planet. Humanity has found its way to this potential new Earth where they're trying to terraform this icy planet, but upon arrival, they meet this weird, deadly alien force, and that's what you see me killing right here. So there are multiple factions that sort of take place, and long story short, essentially, everything that went wrong, and we were not prepared. And so we have multiple factions trying to take control and trying to finish the original job, and everyone's trying to basically control everybody, but also get rid of the potential threat of the aliens at the same time. It's a pretty standard, I think, plot line, but it's actually very Capcom, and the characters are a little bit eccentric, and it's actually quite enjoyable. In fact, I enjoyed the story a little bit more than I thought I would, even though it's rather sort of, been there, done that, and it's nothing particularly exciting. This game just has a very nice sense of character to it and a style with its dialogue, So if you've enjoyed the previous Capcom games, especially the Resident Evil games around this era, then you'll probably enjoy this one too. It's nothing to write home about, but it is a pretty enjoyable popcorn flick, if you will.
Do you know something? Wayne, where's Yuri?
Don't know.
Liar!
What do we do now?
As action-packed as the gameplay is, I do have to say that the controls here did not age as well as the game's graphics, unfortunately. This game is one of those old school games where you control the reticle with your right stick instead of the camera, and so that automatically makes the gunplay a little bit slower than you're probably used to with sort of games of this style. So when I was playing, it was just something I had to kind of keep in mind. There are various different control options. I had to bump up the sensitivity, for example, when I was playing this game. And very interesting enough is that because of the game's atmosphere of you being on sort of this icy planet and it's way too cold for the, normal person to live in, essentially you have these sort of suits on, these weather terrain suits. And constantly you're going to be seeing that I'm actually losing energy, and that's basically your life force in the game. In fact, as you get hit, the energy will deplete more rapidly in order to heal you up. And once that energy depletes to zero, you'll actually start losing health gradually until you actually die. And so there's always this sort of sense of survival that when you're constantly running around the environment, you have to search for energy, and it doesn't matter if you're indoors or outdoors, it's constantly going down. You harvest energy by killing enemies as well as reactivating beacons, which actually show you the direction of where you're supposed to go for your objective. It's actually very difficult to get lost in this game, and on top of that, I was thankful to find that the energy meter was not a nuisance in any way to the gameplay. In fact, there wasn't really any opportunities where I actually found that it actually annoyed me more than it made me more cautious of where I was looking around in the environment. So I think they did a really good job of managing it without making it feel like a hindrance to the gameplay. Because normally when you have meters like this, that could be a big red flag. But here I think it's done very well. The mech suits are very cool. You know, there's different types. Some have more firepower, some are quicker. Others could hover in the air and you can attack from above. Some can transform into vehicles and are much better for transport. There's a very good variety here in terms of the mech suits, and you sort of just have to sort of take with what you're given. And on top of that, you also have various different weapons that you can pick up throughout the environment. Some are more effective against certain enemies than others. So I think that there's a decent amount of variety in this game for what it is, and with it only being around 8 hours or long or so, it's not going to overstay its welcome, and you're not going to get annoyed or wish that you had more than what you're given. I think this game is a really nice, enjoyable adventure to play through on a weekend or over the course of a few days. You know, like I said, it's just like a fun popcorn flick movie, you know, something that's, I think, very OG Capcom and feels Capcom with that sense of character and that, you know, sense of humor that they have in their games as well. So if you're into this style of game, if what you're seeing on screen looks of any interest to you, I do actually recommend you do give it a shot. It is backwards compatible on the new Xbox consoles as well. So I believe that you have auto HDR. I don't think it's frame rate enhanced on the Series X, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong. So overall, I enjoyed Lost Planet. It was a good time for what it is, and like I said, I enjoyed it enough and was surprised that I enjoyed it enough that I ordered the sequel immediately after I completed it. So when I get to that, I'll let you guys know what I think, but for now, hope you enjoyed this quick little review of Lost Planet Extreme Condition.